It's not your turn to talk yet.
That was quick.
Oh, I'll call the meeting to order and do the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you all for being here tonight. Roll call, Jody.
Osborne,
Here.
Bentley, not here. Lund,
Here.
Euler,
Here.
Kushner.
Here. Approval of the minutes. Move to approve.
Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. I believe, under adoption of the agenda, I believe, Manager Doolin has a change.
Yes, Mayor, so council, this evening, we will be pulling item 5.4 as no council action is needed for that item.
Okay.
Move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. On to the first and second readings. First and second reading of MOU memorandum of understanding with SWAT team tactical paramedics. Mr. Munsterman.
Honorable Mayor and members of the city council, got an ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Johnson County Ambulance District for their tactical paramedics to be allowed to operate within the Johnson County Special Weapons and Tactics Unit. This is a renewal of a previous MOU. The issue is the approval of a memorandum of understanding of the Johnson County Sheriff's Office and Johnson County Ambulance District. It'll meet goals 3 of the strategic planning to maintain a safer community and really no impact of our budget.
Any significant changes from the last one, Andy?
No, just getting it updated. It's been a while since it's been signed.
Okay.
So, all right, thank you.
Move to pass that ordinance to second reading by title.
Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Adopt ordinance approving memoranda of understanding for SWAT team tactical paramedics among Johnson County Sheriff's Department, Warrensburg Police Department, and Johnson County Ambulance District. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. Okay, Andy, stand back up again. First and second reading, adopting mutual aid agreement for Special Weapons and Tactics Unit.
Honorable Mayor, members of the city council, this is ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Johnson County Sheriff's Office for the Warrensburg Police Department to operate as a joint special weapons and tactics unit. This is a renewal from back in 2015. The city council, with the city council approval of the memorandum of understanding with the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, this continues to maintain our safe community. The only impact is possible overtime with training and call outs. I feel this is a much needed memorandum. I mean, we just needed that there. No specific changes.
7 years is a while. Okay,
Just like to get that renewed. Thank you.
thank you.
Move to approve that ordinance second reading by title.
Thank you. Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Okay. Adopt ordinance approving mutual aid agreement for Special Weapons and Tactics Unit between Johnson County, Missouri and the city of Warrensburg, Missouri. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. Skipping 5-4, going to 5-5, first and second reading.
5-3.
5-3.
Oh. Already checked it off, dummy. Sorry. First and second reading of an ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute an agreement with Infinitec LLC to purchase and install network infrastructure upgrades by Enrico.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So before you tonight, the ordinance for first and second reading to authorize the city manager and city clerk to execute an agreement with Infinitec to replace and update some critical IT infrastructure that would support both capacity and firewall functions. This was originally scheduled to be completed in fiscal year 23, but wanting to maximize the remainder of the funds that we have in fiscal year 22, we just decided to do it now. That way we can use a lot more of the fiscal 23 dollars for other projects. So that's all I have.
And this is general IT equipment, not specific to a department.
The first item will replace the current backup target, the component 4020 that we put in about 6-7 years ago. And then the other, the firewall upgrade will replace our firewalls, put in a high availability backup. So that will remove that single point of failure for the network.
Okay.
Move to approve that ordinance, second reading by title.
Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute an agreement with Infinitec LLC to purchase and install network infrastructure upgrades. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. Now I'll do 5-5. First and second reading of an ordinance amending ordinance 55709 concerning the adopted fiscal year 2022 annual budget beginning October 1 to 2021.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This has got a lot of information in it, and so I put together a short, it's a PowerPoint presentation of all the funds to give you a recap of what's presented to you this evening in this budget amendment. And so to start out with general fund, we had adopted revenues of a little over $10.5 million. And our total requested revenues are projected at 10.7 million. Our actual year to date is already at $11 million. So I just want to bring that to your attention that we have collected so far to date more than what we've even asked for this in this budget amendment. So the expenditures are highlighted with each of the divisions, and the only divisions that really have a request for an increase in expenditures is the WCDB expenses for changes in some salary and benefits, the police building, police fund or division, economic development. Remember, we did the Hawthorne sign upgrade, and there was monies in reserve that we had available in cash, and so that money was expended and paid out. So we're going to do the amendment for that, and for total expenditures of a little over $340,000. So the difference is we're going to ask for a little bit more in expenditures than we did in revenue of just under $100,000. And at the bottom of the screen, which I apologize, you can't see very well, but total revenue over expenditures year to date is a little over $1 million. So we're doing a really, really good job. So the capital improvement transportation fund didn't have any requests for amendments. So it's just bringing to your attention that we've collected $859,000 and spent $246 to have $613,000 left. The capital improvement half cent, we had a transfer reduction of $280 because there was not a bank bond fee, administrative fee for bond transfers out of the capital improvement sales tax fund. And we've collected $2.2 million and expended 1.6 for a balance of $664,000 extra in revenue. General obligation bonds, we had budgeted the $12 million that we sold in bonds. We have collected additional $505,000 in premiums. So the bond sold for, so we end up with more proceeds than what we would have to pay back. There's also been additional interest income for that. We've expended some engineering and what have you, and done a request for $267,000 increase in the expenditures for this year. And so we've collected $13.5 million and only spent $1.2 million of that. So the rest of that $12 million, if you'll recall, is in the 23 budget that we'll spend on McGuire Street and whatever else that Public Works has got planned for us to spend, as promised to the voters. The American Rescue Plan, that money, we've collected the $2 million that we were allocated and an additional $40,000 from the state when they did a reallocation. There's also additional revenue from interest earnings there. So we've collected $2.1 million to date and expended $989,000. So we've increased that $73,000 for general, some computer supplies of $176,000. There's also equipment and capital engineering in reference to the enterprise fund, enterprise lift station out of WPC. So we requested an additional $142,000 be expended out of that over and above the original $700,000 that was amended earlier this year. The debt service fund is a transfer fund. It manages all of our debt services. And so we had missed the interest payment for one of the GO bonds at $111,000. So that money is transferred in, and so it shows up as a revenue into that fund and then expended out to make that bond payment. So we've done just exactly that. We've transferred the $2.8 million for debt service and paid out the $2.8 million for a zero effect. The NID fund has just had additional interest income of $2,600. We've also had additional financial services monies paid out of that for $600. So we've collected $174,000 year to date and spent $160,000 in the debt service payment to have $13,000 left to carry forward to next year. Parks and Recreation didn't have an amendment. Their original amendment showed that they were going to use $156,000 of fund balance from carryover for 2021. The actual revenue collected to date is just over $3 million, and they've spent 2.4, so they have $572,000 left the year so far. The tax increment financing is additional revenue of $33,420 for sales tax money that's come into that fund, and that's transferred back out to the developer for payment for that Keystone TIF. So we've collected $177,000 year to date and expended $174,000. Water pollution control didn't have a budget amendment. It's an enterprise fund. It doesn't necessarily have to have an adopted budget ongoing because it's funded by user rates. The total revenue has been collected at $5.5 million, and we've spent $5.1 million to have $331,000 left in that fund so far. Just note that this still is not covering depreciation. Depreciation is in that $4.2 million general budget, and so we would like to see an additional $1 million plus in that fund to cover depreciation costs. The trust funds, so I've outlined all the trust funds here, and revenue, was $1,440 additional revenue projected for the Stevenson Fund. And for total revenue amongst all those funds at $29,400. The additional expenditures for the trust funds is for donations that we've authorized out of the Stevenson Fund, And the financial services costs, so the banking fees are spread out across each of those funds, and those were not included in the original pieces. So we've asked for an additional $1,730 across all of those funds. And we've collected, thanks to a lot of the Children's Memorial Fund and the Stevenson, an additional $18,000 over and above what we've expended. One of the last ones we have is the self-insured fund for our health insurance. We've talked a little bit about health insurance premiums as we developed the 23 budget, and this brings to light a lot of the information that you'll receive as we look at renewals for the health insurance. We had originally budgeted $1.3 million in premium costs between the city and the employees funding. That has not come in, and it was not going to come in by $98,000. So we've reduced that money coming into that fund. We've collected additional COBRA premiums, so that offsets that. But the total reduction in revenue into that fund is $90,100. The insurance claims and admin fees is right now projected to cost us an additional $483,000 for the year, over and above the original $1 million that we had budgeted. Year to date, we have spent 1.38, almost $1.4 million of that. And so we've got additional claims fees that will come out of that fund. And right now we have expended $154,000 more than what we've collected, and it's projected to expend $365,000 more than what we collect in that fund for our health insurance. And that's primarily because of our claims. And again, you'll get lots of information about that as we go through the renewal processes that Administrator Doolittle and Ms. Courtney is working on. Lastly, WCBB is just for information purposes only. The WCBB has approved their budget amendment in their September meeting. And so this just outlines that. And currently it shows the year-to-date revenue at $372,000 and expenditures at $457,000 for an $84,000 use of fund balance, primarily because of the purchase of the building. That's the big piece in this going forward. So a lot of information in a short period of time. It's in the exhibits for as far as detail of what the divisions have asked for your guys' information. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Respectfully ask that we approve this at second reading since we're year end and technically supposed to have a budget in balance and not overextended by the end of the year.
Questions, anybody?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm just curious. I know you're looking at like a group plan for the health insurance, and maybe there was a group with municipalities or something we talked about. How is that coming along? Any positive?
Yeah, we've received their proposal. We have that, and then next week we're going to get the proposal from Dennis of the McGinnis Group as far as the Blue Cross and Blue Shield, the current one. And then I also asked him, he said that he had done some comparisons as we, expect him to every year with others such as Cigna and Health, United Health. And I asked him when I met with him 2 weeks ago, or was it just last week, time flight, to also give us those proposals so that we can look at those. So, but we are looking at possibly getting away from the half self-insured and going to where it's fully insured through the premiums.
Thank you.
I do have one question. You, Marcella, you mentioned there was a missed payment in debt service. Would you talk about that, please?
It was missed in the budget adoption.
Oh,
So
okay.
when we originally adopted the budget, there was an interest payment for the GO bonds, which was the new issue from last year that was not in the original budget as it was adopted. So when we made that payment, it was like, wait a minute, why isn't that in the budget? And got to look in. So it was missed in the budget. It wasn't a missed payment.
Okay, thank you.
It was just missed in the budget document as the budget.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Motions?
Move to adopt said ordinance to second reading by title.
Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
First and second reading of an ordinance amending ordinance 5709 concerning the adopted fiscal year 2022 annual budget beginning October 1, 2021. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appearances to the council not listed.
Bill, do you have anything?
Is there anything on that sheet?
Okay. Police chief says no. Miscellaneous matters from the mayor or council. Okay. Mayoral appointments. A mayoral appointment was brought to our attention of a member of the Arts Commission who has not attended meetings per the attendance requirement and is not presently in the country. And so we're going to remove him, and the Arts Commission is going to present another person so they have a full board soon. Then.
We do need a motion.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Motion to approve.
Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else, Marcella, for your finance report?
I'll answer any questions that you might have in the report. I've given you a highlight of what's happened so far, so you'll get preliminary year-end numbers at the first meeting in October.
Okay. City manager and staff reports.
I have one thing, but I'll turn it over to other directors if they have something they want to share. If that's what you're thinking.
So Lieutenant Jason Gilbert just completed FBI leader training. That's there was three trainings that he had to go to. Most of our command staff attended all three of those. Now, actually, all of our commanders have, and that sets them up for a trilogy. If everybody in our command goes to all three of them trainings, then the department will be awarded a trilogy award through the FBI. And then Lieutenant Mike Miller just completed CS leads, Central State leads, executive leadership training. It was in Kansas last week. So we're moving forward with trains and getting people to the correct training that we need to. So I have.
Very good.
Assistant City Manager Villegas has quite a few things to cover with you all this evening.
No, you can't come up with 100 pages at the end of the meeting.
Hey.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, all good things. So for public works specifically, I wanted to highlight that we need to replace a motive pump for one of our sequencing batch reactors at our east plant. That would by itself would be around $40,000 to do that. Pursuant to the permit that we have with the Department of Natural Resources, they require us to have three. So with that going down, there is kind of some heat to make sure that happens. While we're doing that, in meeting with the supplier for the pumps, they shared with us that if you get additional pumps, it could be at a lower cost. So by getting two, we're going to be saving around 20%, which is good for us because our SBR motive pump at our west plant is also experiencing the same system failures that we're seeing with the pump at the east plant. So by being proactive on this, we could save money in the long haul, especially with the lead time on these pumps being anywhere from 12 to 14 weeks. So we're going to try to move on this. But that was more of an FYI for you all, since this was close to around an $80,000 expenditure. So that's kind of the main highlight for Public Works. On the IT side, there's a couple of things that we're looking at. One is replacing the antiquated door locks with electronic key fobs here in the municipal center. That's one thing that we already have some of the necessary infrastructure to do that. Gary has met with some contractors to perform that work. So we'd also be utilizing fiscal year 2022 dollars to really maximize that. And in addition, we're also exploring options to get fiber to the street barn, the cemetery, the WPC, and one of our plants. So this one's being a little more opportunistic with all of the fiber contractors that we have in town. We may as well tap into that while they're here, and to get all of our, at least for now, the public works buildings up to reliable speeds. So that's kind of on the IT side. For parks, I did want to share some short-term wins that I felt like were worth highlighting. One, we did outfit all of the parks maintenance staff with safety apparel, be it safety vest, boots, things like that, which they did not have before. And they seem to really appreciate that. In addition, we've also been meeting with park maintenance staff to understand how we can support them, what do they need from us, and really getting to know them and their jobs. So a lot of time has been invested with them, and it's been very fruitful even for myself. We do plan to make additional investments with parks as well. So over the winter time, our street crews are going to fabricate gates and then install them at the park barn in that parking lot to hopefully deter any theft from any trailers or trucks. But for the time being, they're going to be parking at the street barn. We're also looking at conceptualizing some potential CIP projects that would also be shared with the park board. So some of those would be addressing the dog park, the wavy parking lot, in addition to potentially paving the west ball fields. And I'm just kind of throwing out some of the things that we have been looking at. So more to come on parks, but I did think it would also be appropriate to share a report that I recently got back from our engineer on the community center and other parks facilities. So we had entered into a contractual agreement with Great River Engineering to take a look at the ductwork at the community center. And while we're at it, we also thought it was appropriate to do a holistic inspections of the building. And not just the community center, but also the ABC, NASIP, and the park barn. So that was something that our senior project manager, Bill Graves, has been leading, and I'm very thankful for his efforts. So in the report, one of several things that were highlighted, and I'm just going to share a few of the major safety concerns instead of some other cosmetic ones. There was a 6-anchor gray water pipe that kind of extends on certain piers and then kind of goes up and over. A lot of the brackets that were supporting that are severely rusted, and if that pipe were ever be turned back on, could break from the brackets and fall, either severely injuring someone or killing them. So it could be another ductwork scenario all over again. It's obviously something we don't want. Other items were rusting on the handrails of the stairway structure. So where the pool is, kind of how it's circular and then goes down. Well, that's kind of where we're seeing some of the rusting along those support members. And so we're not sure right now how severe the rust is. It could just be cosmetic and then just put some galvanizing paint over it and then maybe it's fine. Or it's severely eroded and then that's going to delay time for the repair as well. Other items such as the bolts that would anchor down the diving board are severely eroded as well. Potentially if someone were to jump on it, the diving board would snap. Another one that was worth highlighting was in the chemical storage room, where a lot of the pumps are as well. Unfortunately, it was producing almost chlorine fumes within the storage room because it was not being exhausted out properly. And so that's been eroding away a lot of the mechanical equipment there. So that's going to be expensive. In addition to the fact that there are 6 pumps, 3 have completely failed, with another one that may be on the fritz that if we were to activate the pool, that could probably go, which would only leave us with 2 of the 6. So we're not really sure how long, what the lead time is on some of these pumps. We're still exploring that. But our plan for a lot of these items will be to just issue a change order to the contractor while they're already here to just move this along. I do anticipate with a lot of these other major problems that we're going to be seeing at least some proposed budget amendments to really allow us to tackle these things, such as at the park barn. In the report, did note that there are some structural failures in the park barn itself, either with severe cracks in some of the load-bearing walls, some of the load-bearing beams, and things like that. So we're not really sure how we're going to address that, but I'm going to talk more with the engineer to see what their recommendations would be for that building. So that's kind of all I have in the report, but other things I did want to share too, that we are looking at engaging with tree contractors as well. That way we can address some of the trees that are in a little more questionable condition in some of the parks, and really leveraging their expertise to help kind of tackle some of those things which we do not have the expertise or the equipment for. So that's kind of all I have for the parks report. I can stand for any questions.
I guess you're talking about amending the budget because it seems like a lot of this wasn't planned on or budgeted for. So we're going to have to come up with that to fix these things. And
Potentially, yeah.
yeah,
We'll try to utilize the most of any reserves that were in the funds, but we'll have to see. I still don't know what some of these costs are going to be.
sure. I was wondering about the building because it's been there a long time. So
Yeah.
I kind of expected that we might find something. A lot of deferred maintenance, I guess, is what's happened.
Right.
We do have a park board meeting on Wednesday night. So Enrico will be attending the park board meeting to share this information with our park board members as well.
No, I'm glad you're doing it. I mean, it seems like the problem maybe wasn't, it just been ignored and you can't because it'll catch up to you sometimes. So, I'm glad you had all the other sites inspected. And I did see the workers over in the park the other day in the community center and down by all wearing their safety gear. And it was really good to see that. So appreciate all the work all the extra time you've been putting in on this for the last couple of weeks. I know it wasn't planned and we didn't really didn't want to have to do this, but I'm really glad we had to step in and did it. It's going to take care of a lot of future problems.
Thank you.
The last thing that I had was sincere apologies that Retail Strategies was not able to make the 6:30 work session. They were here in Warrensburg today. They were touring, looking at sites, taking pictures, doing drone footage. There were supposed to be 2 of them. One of them had a medical emergency and was not able to make the trip. So we were down to 1 individual. And that one individual had an opportunity to meet with a developer concerning a property here in Warrensburg. And so we felt that was a pressing opportunity. And I shared with him that we would have an opportunity to share his presentation of what he saw while he was here in Warrensburg at a later date. We will probably try to organize that as a Zoom meeting We'll do a fully Zoom opportunity since he will be in Alabama and he can present from his PowerPoint, which will probably be easier for us with our technology here if we go 100% Zoom. And we can always make arrangements and get things figured out so everyone can participate in that Zoom meeting as well. But they were here working very hard and sounds like it was already a fruitful visit.
The drone footage, is that an extra cost or is that something part of the package?
No, that's just something that they do. They
Do we get access to that? I mean, I'm thinking WCVB or the Chamber of Commerce, if we had some nice drone footage of Warrensburg,
I don't know how valuable that would be for maybe if, yes, I'm sure.
are they just doing sites? Is
Just
that
doing
their,
sites.
oh, that's not very interesting.
I mean, for some folks, like Barb and me and we do like that.
Okay.
And they're probably like zoomed in on inlets and pipes and
Yeah.
it's not even beautiful.
Well, if they happen to get a nice shot going down Holden Street or something, I think we'd be interested, right? Right, Marcy?
Oh, no, we do those. We put Barb in the bucket truck out at the barn and get those pictures.
Is that a drone shot? I don't know if that's a drone shot.
We do have a photographer out of Pleasant Hill who has been coming to Warrensburg, and he's had an opportunity to take some really great photographs of our city.
Mhm.
And I know Marcy's been working with him, and so yeah, he's got some good things for us. So
But you feel like it's good? I mean, this group is really
yes, we
branding
do.
us and good.
Yeah, we do. Already some of the conversations that some of the retailers that they have shared with us, conversations that they have shared with us. I do feel like we made the right decision making that move.
Great.
Enrico, you have one thing you want to add?
So I forgot to provide an update on the Hawthorne Park. So last week, some of our in-house street crews removed a lot of the safety matting
Mhm.
that was basically overlaying the ground. And we did that for the purposes of prepping the site for the contractor to come in and do the pour in place similar to that which that Cave Hollow. So I am excited about that. And by us doing that in-house, we did save around $60,000.
Wow.
So that's a further benefit of really seeing the optimization of working together with parks is for leveraging savings like this.
So if we saved 60, how much was it or would have been? What was the
Around
total?
110,000.
Wow.
But that's going with the pour in place
Uh-huh.
material like at Cape Hollow, but we felt like that was appropriate because of it being ADA, more ADA compliant than it would be with say like a rubberized mold or something like that. So.
Appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Anything else from staff?
Do I need to?
Yes.
Sorry. I just wanted to add that, as you know, Kathy Hinson, who is the HR assistant, she works 2 days a week at the park department. And this morning we were talking and she said that the park maintenance individuals seem so much happier and that they have been so appreciative. I just wanted to make sure you knew that of all of the time and effort that Enrico has had talking to them because they had been feeling very neglected. And they really feel like somebody's listening to their concerns and that they just seem like maybe some of that toxicity that we were reporting about is starting to dissipate. So I wanted to share how quickly he's been turning things around.
You guys got anything, Barb, or? All right, we're gonna skip Marcy. Come on, Marcy.
We made her go last.
It's all good.
I know, it's the Marcy turn.
The WCB will be closed next week. I'll be attending the governor's conference in St. Louis. Very excited about that. This week we have 4 interviews scheduled for our part-time position, communication coordinator. And more than 30 applicants. Some working. But we've got 4 and we're really excited about that. We have an interview panel. So we have the integrated marketing specialist from the University of Central Missouri, the social media oversees that. He will be serving on that panel along with Kathy Henson, who works for HR. So I'm very excited about that. Hoping to have someone on staff with me on board middle of October. Next week, like I said, I'll be in St. Louis, at the governor's conference, hope to learn more about the ARPA funding that the Department of Economic Development will be issuing, through Missouri Division of Tourism. There is, I think some of you have shared with me the draft that was published. That was for public comments. That was for a comment stage that they had, that closed the end of August. And so they took all of those and put it back together. As we were told, what you saw back in August was not what it's going to be, and they have not released that yet. So again, I hope to learn more about that next week. Speaking of social media, we just started our own TikTok account, which is kind of scary in a way, but exciting. So we will be doing TikTok now.
All right.
And so stay posted. I will keep you posted on where we are with that. But that's what we got going on for WCBB.
Hey, Marcy, I'm just curious with all the visitors, we talk sometimes about things, but what's the one thing we're missing? Visitors come here that people say, oh, I wish you had this or that. I know, is it still the transportation issue of hotel to venue and wedding parties or?
Yeah, it just really depends on each group of visitors and why they're coming. Yes, absolutely. Transportation is one of the top ones. Speaking of transportation, and thank you for leading on that. Amtrak will be they won't be stopping it, but they will be stopping at one of the trains that's coming through October 24th through November 16th due to staffing issues. And that's, I will say, if you go to not our visitors, if you go to any of our hotels, they will say the number one thing they need help with is staffing. And I will say, of the 6 hotels, I will say we have new faces at 4 of them under management. And so it's constantly that education process and trying to get them on board so that they can tell those that are coming in. Yes, transportation around town, getting from the Amtrak to the hotels is not an easy, task sometimes when you come in with all your luggage and such. And then getting to our event venues, they're outside Warrensburg. And they do face that. And then those things that, might be happening later in the evening, but maybe make it a little bit more family oriented. We're hoping to learn more when we do our visitor profile study. And I'll be able to tell you what the data tells us, where they're going, and who is not coming. And I think that'll give us some more stance on what we're looking for.
Thank you, ma'am. Suzanne?
Thank you. Well, Networks Local had heard last week, I know there was a lot of interaction with people out cleaning and the city looking good. But I wanted to also let you know, and the city manager is aware of this, we're in the working plans to have a 30th anniversary for the depot renovation. And the celebration will be held on October the 27th at 4 o'clock. Outside of the depot area, and so you are all invited to attend. We're just in the process of getting invitations together.
And they finally finished that, haven't they?
Well, they still have to paint the railings. You might want to talk to Bill about that, but anyway. but I think they just have to.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
And Suzanne, I guess, so we'll have Bird Fest before we have our next meeting. I guess everything's.
Bird Fest is on 7th and 8th of October. The Main Street is on stream.
It is UCN Family Weekend this weekend, and the Blind Women Symposium will be here on the 1st. I'm very excited about that. Folks from all over the US will be coming, and folks right up front have helped with the tour that will be happening for the symposium possible. So we're very grateful for that.
Is there any help that you need done or do facilities or anything?
No, we are all set. They have the tour. They have Dr. John Taylor from UCM History Department has organized the tour. And Erica Collins and Mike Shaw will be greeting them at the park. And then they will be leaving the park, and then they'll be headed to the Johnson County Historical Society where they'll be enjoying snacks. And there's snacks provided by the WCBB and CD provided by Councilman Osborne. And Moonlight Market is also Saturday night as well.
Your what?
Moonlight Market
Yep, I'm looking forward to that.
Saturday night, it's from 4:30 to 7:30.
Sarah? You're gonna look Sarah.
Let me know what's happening.
Okay.
Enrico had something.
More?
One more.
We should have a closed session this evening.
We thought we were doing so well.
So one other thing that I forgot, Dave McCannon and some of his crew members also tried to remove a lot of the graffiti at Blind Boone, just to prep it for the symposium. They were able to remove enough, but probably the best remedy would be to just paint over it. So I did want to throw that out.
This is on the restroom.
Yeah.
Building, yeah.
Is there any plan towards that or?
Is it with the mural in it? Or is it, where's?
The back.
Where's the, mural?
Yeah, we had to take them off, but that was already in working with some of our local artists that were going to handle the paint. So we met with them, let them know what our plan was. And so,
Okay. That's everybody and number 11, a closed session. Vote to close part of this meeting pursuant to section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri relating to number 2, leasing, purchasing, or sale of real estate by public governmental body.
Motion to go to closed session.
Osborne,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thanks.
Number 12, adjourn.